Hey, what's up everybody? So today we're going to talk about J.K. Rowling. And if you guys don't have Twitter, you won't know what she has said on Twitter unless you've Googled it or whatever. Before I say anything, I just wanted to let you guys know that I'm a time traveler. I've never seen Harry Potter in my life. I've never read it. That's because I'm a time traveler who has traveled to 2020, and then I found all this stuff out. And then when I went back, I just decided not to ever watch because I knew she would say some stuff like this. So no, but I've never seen Harry Potter, and people used to yell at me for it. Who's laughing now? So for the past 6 months, people have been calling J.K. Rowling transphobic because of one time she supported Maya Forstater, and this was a woman who, tweeted some not nice things about trans people. I'll put them up on the screen. I took this little paragraph from a website just to give you a little touch on that. It says, Maya Forstater is a tax expert who lost her think tank job when she tweeted, "People who I admire are tying themselves in knots to avoid saying the truth that men cannot change into women, because that might hurt men's feelings." Anyways, whatever, she lost her job because she wasn't saying, the nicest things about trans people. So J.K. Rowling said she stands with Maya, and she tweeted this: "Dress however you please, call yourself whatever you like, sleep with any consenting adult you'll have, live your best life in peace and security, but force women out of their jobs for stating that sex is real? I stand with Maya." So that's why a lot of people have been mad at her for a while. She hasn't said anything until a couple of days ago. Me personally, I wasn't a fan of it because I'll tell you why. And I think that there are just bigger issues to focus on than, trans people being trans. So she started her whole little tangent based on this little article here. And she quoted it, "People who menstruate? I'm sure there used to be a word for those people. Someone help me out. Wumben? Wimpund? Woomud?" What she's trying to say is women are the people who menstruate. Don't say people who menstruate, say women who menstruate. Which I think is stupid to say because trans women exist and trans men exist. The only reason people say people who menstruate or individuals who menstruate is because sometimes trans guys early in their transition, or trans guys who can't take tea, and even sometimes when they do take tea, they can still bleed. Which is actually something I think a lot of trans guys don't want to be associated with. I wouldn't want to be put in a group with someone when they're talking about menstruating. It would make me feel dysphoric. But for some people, they're not dysphoric about it. So being an author, you would have thought she could find a different word that rhymes with woman instead of wimpund. Maybe if I say it with a British accent, it sounds like woman. Wimpund. No, it still sounds the same. That didn't even sound British, but I don't even think it's gonna sound the same as woman. Anyways, yeah, you can say women menstruate. That's not gonna bother me if you sit there and say that. But the point of this article was to make people feel included. You don't have to do that. As an individual, you don't have to make me feel included if you don't want to. If that's how you want to live your life, you don't have to include trans people. So I don't know why she's acting like it's being forced on her. Sorry, I'm editing, but I wanted to say, people might respond to that and say, well, I'm gonna get called a bigot if I don't include trans people in my discussions. Doesn't that say something then, if people are going to call you a bigot or call you an asshole because you don't want to acknowledge trans people? Isn't that telling in itself? So following that up, she tweeted, "If sex isn't real, there's no same-sex attraction. If sex isn't real, the lived reality of women globally is erased. I know and love trans people, but erasing the concept of sex removes the ability of many to meaningfully discuss their lives. It isn't hate to speak the truth." So the problem with this is, first of all, there are bigger things going on in the world right now, like racism, and also it's Pride Month. Did you have to tweet this during June? Not that it's okay to tweet it in July, but the question I have is, who is saying sex isn't real? Because it's not trans people, most of them. Most of us aren't going to sit here and say, biological sex isn't real and it's all a myth. There's no female and male, and it's not it's nothing. I really don't think anybody's saying that, and I've seen people say, oh, well, the people with the loudest voices are the really radical ones who say that there's 100,000 genders, blah, blah, blah. And I just don't believe that at all, because they don't have the loudest voices. They have a different voice. So that's why people, when they read something like that, they're like, what the fuck is this? And then it gets attention. I don't think they have the loudest voices at all. And just another thing, sorry, I forgot to say this, but people who have the different opinions are getting more attention from people like J.K. Rowling, so then they get a loud platform. Therefore, people think they're loud because, somebody like J.K. Rowling will see a tweet that says biological sex isn't real, and then she'll be like, what is this nonsense? And then it goes out to everybody else, and then they're like, what is this nonsense? So if you take a look at bigger trans icons like Sam Collins, like Laverne Cox, higher up in famous trans people aren't sitting here saying that biological sex isn't real. Maybe 3 kids on Twitter are. So that's why I don't know where the discussion is coming from. The tweet that followed that one up is, "The idea that women like me, who have been empathetic to trans people for decades..." The fuck? Wow, you're so cool for being empathetic towards trans people. I really enjoy your empathy. Thank you, because my life is so sad. Feeling kinship because they're vulnerable in the same way as women, example, to male violence, hate trans people because they think sex is real and have lived consequences is a nonsense. So this tweet really confused me, but to be honest, I don't think people dislike her because she thinks sex is real. Like 99.9% of the population will agree with you on that. I think people are mad at you because there's better things to do than piss and moan on the internet when you're a literal like billionaire, when you could be doing something good with your platform instead of saying sex is real. No fucking shit. Like, that's a given. I don't know why it's such a big deal. I don't understand the people defending her because, no, I don't think she's super transphobic. I don't think she would spit on me and say that I suck. But it's like, just don't say that. There's nothing, you're not bringing anything new to the table. You're making trans people look like we're all crazy and that we don't believe in biological sex, which doesn't even make sense because that would contradict our entire life. In my eyes, she's grouping trans people all together as one. So when people see this, they're gonna be like, fucking trans people are crazy, man. They don't think sex is real. What's wrong with these people? Anyway, she goes on to say, I respect every trans person's right to live any way that feels authentic and comfortable to them. I'd march with you if you were discriminated against on the basis of being trans. At the same time, my life has been shaped by being female. I do not believe it's hateful to say so. Another argument I have seen people talk about on this entire thing is they're saying, well, J.K. Rowling is mad because her rights are being taken away as a woman and she's being erased as a woman. Since I'm a trans man, I'm seen as a man everywhere. It's on my license, it's on my records, so I don't know what it feels like to live as a woman because I also transitioned as a teenager. But I was trying to look up, people's rights that have been affected by trans people existing and I couldn't find anything. The only new laws I could think of were bathrooms, and I don't think trans people using a public restroom is it like a violation of your rights at all. The only other thing I can think of besides that is sports and trans people in sports. Some of those rights have changed over time, but I personally haven't seen anything regarding her womanship or anything like that being changed because trans people exist. So hey, if you have seen anything, let me know. But so after that, people were calling her like a TERF and stuff. So she said this: feminazi, TERF, bitch, witch. Times change. Women hate is eternal. Nobody hates you because you're a woman. That's not what this is about at all. People aren't liking you because you keep talking about trans people when there's such bigger things going on in the world right now. And then for this last tweet, this guy quoted her and said, J.K. Rowling has pinpointed why so many gay peeps are concerned about the new version of trans activism. We used to be camaraderie in arms with our trans mates until some extremists insisted biological sex was an illusion. Our legal protections and our identities are based on it. That is the most dramatic tweet that I've read, like in a hot minute. So if you believe it's extremists who are saying this, why are you grouping transgender people all together as one then, when you're tweeting about this? So just because a couple of extremists said biological sex wasn't real, you're just gonna disregard trans people, like you're done trying with them. That doesn't even make any sense. There could be 100 great trans people and 2 people who are extremists saying that biological sex doesn't exist and it's just a myth, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So then you just give up. Like, that doesn't even, it's the whole argument is fucking stupid. I feel like I'm teaching a first grade class. No offense to first graders, but this is like common sense. It shouldn't have to be set out like this. It's like so stretched out for just no reason. And just for a last note on this, maybe she's confused between sex and gender, because those don't always, go together. Also, chromosomes are not always going to be XX, XY. There has been many variations over history. Also, intersex people exist, so it's just like, to look at it in such a way that there's no other possibilities is stupid. Gender and sex normally will align with each other, but for trans people it doesn't, so that's why we're trans, because we believe in our sex and we're not comfortable with our sex. And that's my lesson on first grade for J.K. Rowling, our top student. I'll give you a gold star today for attempting to listen.
2 + 2 is 4, -1, that's 3, quick maths.
I just think she should shut up. She's not adding anything good to the trans movement. If anything, she's making it worse. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about that whole situation. I'm gonna respond to comments, so I hope you have a great rest of your day. I will see you in a few days. And don't let J.K. Rowling ruin your day.